What's up, fam? It's your boy Demuir here, purveyor of all sounds underground. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today, where I'll be discussing the topic of how to beef up vocals. A great video idea from our homeboy Addy, who's a local promoter here in the Toronto underground electronic music scene. So much respect out to you, Addy. But before we jump into things, what I need from you is that SLC. Hit subscribe, like, comment, and more importantly, hit the notifications bell to stay in touch with the new videos that we have up and coming. All right, so let's talk about our thing here, beefing up vocal performance. And it was interesting, I'm going to use a remix I did about almost 4 or 5 years ago just to demonstrate the fact that you can learn so much when it comes to reaching out for new knowledge and stuff. And man, things are quite different. There's a lot I would do different in this mix. But with respects to the vocal performance, it's a small enhancement of things I've learned over time, and will definitely help you in your mix. All right, so I think the first thing here is let's give it a listen as to what I'm talking about before I jump into the various details here. This is a song called After You Go, by Wig and Panak. The vocalist is Yasmin Aziz. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Tremendous vocalist and great artist as well. I believe she plays violin too. So anyway, let's give the vocal a quick listen before I jump into other things. So let's start. Very sultry sort of performance. But I think there's a couple of things I could do to just beef up that vocal, and I'll show you exactly how I go about doing that. But the first point I want to note here is to make sure with any vocal performance, especially when you're remixing as well, that you're not leveraging too much over processing. And what I mean by that is sometimes the vocal stem comes in already with EQ and compression, so there's not much more that you should be doing to try and make that vocal performance pop, unless the recording is very bad. But in most cases, if it's already processed, you shouldn't add more compression to that if there's compression already present. You shouldn't add way too much more reverb if there's already a presence of reverb. So do not over process the signal if you can. Well, not if you can, but you should endeavor to do that. Point number 2, the technique I'm going to show you to beef up vocal performance is what I call parallel reverb. So we have a quick look at my screen here. I have some EQ. I didn't even use console 1, which is surprising because I love the warmth of that desk. But at this time, 4 or 5 years ago, I just dragged the vocals in here. I split them on either side just to give it a sort of layered effect. And you can see that on the left channel, although it's straight down the middle in mono here. You can see the wave is a bit beefier on the left channel, and I just left it as such. So both are in mono, and I got my standard Neve 33609 compressor. I use this all the time on vocals. I just think it's more musical and transparent. And then I have a limiter on the vocal, which I rarely do, but I think the signal was a bit low on this. I wanted to make sure it hit a certain number and didn't go over, so that's why I put the limiter in there. So as we listened to what we listened to, it sounded good, but I wanted to beef up the bottom a bit. So you'll notice here in my sense, bus 2 is my reverb, and you can see I got a little dash of reverb send going on here, and I also do the same on the delay, but the reverb is where we're going to concentrate most of our effort. So I'm going to move over to the reverb bus. Where are you? Right here. And I'll show you that, okay, great, I got an EQ at the top here, and what I would typically do is I would put a little bit of a bump here around anywhere between, I would say, 3 to 350 hertz for female vocal. If it's male, I'll go a little bit lower. And I just opened up the Q on this one, and you can see I went 282 here for Yasmin's range, and I exaggerated the boost just for demonstrative purposes. But let's give it a quick listen here so you can hear exactly what this does. I'll be sure to A-B it. And this is the EQ on the reverb bus. I'm going to turn it on. Off. Back on. So you can hear that there's a bit of warmth at the bottom. I've actually cut out the highs just to put more energy over here into that 282 range, and however far out the Q spreads, which is right into about 1,000, 2,000 here. That's basically what the technique is. It's just blending the reverb signal now that I put a boost in the lower part of the EQ, just to see the type of performance we get. I'm going to show it another way just so you can gradually hear the difference and make sure you're wearing headphones or you have this going on in your studio. So let's play it. And I'm just bringing it in. And I like to bring it into a point where it doesn't sound too chorusy or modular, where there's stuff overlapping each other and phasing and stuff. But around here, it sounds sweet to me. So that's the parallel reverb effect. I tend to use this quite a bit in my productions today if I feel the vocal just needs a bit of an oomph to it. The third point here is more of a watch out. Be sure not to apply too much effects where it starts to wash out the original vocal performance. Having a little bit of delay and reverb are cool, but you also want to make sure you're interpreting and hearing quite clearly what the vocalist is saying or singing in their performance. So just a little bit of a watch out for that, because it can tend to get dangerous as you're hearing some of the difference, and if you're not watching how much reverb you got going on, you'll totally mess up the entire mix as a result of over complimenting it with reverb on that particular vocal performance. The fourth point here is something we'll jump back into my screen about, and it's to basically be able to measure what you expect, and it's to check what sort of effect you're getting. Are you getting what you expect? So the way I do this is I'll solo out the particular reverb bus and just listen and see, oh, okay, I'm getting a bit of bottom, and you can A-B it. So let's take the EQ off. You should be able to hear a slight difference there, and I'll put the EQ back on, and you have a bit more body, especially right here in this range, which is giving it sort of a little bit of beef and thickness to it. It's a little hard to hear when you have for some ears like mine, when you have the original signal over it, but over time you start to learn, oh yeah, here's the effect I'm looking for. But that is a great way to check the performances by soloing out that bus and seeing what you're getting out of it. And point number 5, as I review this mix again, it's definitely a huge reminder of how important it is to remove non-value add stuff out of the mix to ensure that each signal has its maximum potential of the best performance in the mix. And I really think, as I go back here, I certainly could have added here at the top of my master chain shaving out of 30 hertz, and I'm like ready to do it, ready to go here, which I didn't do in this mix. And this is a noticeable difference. I hear it in all of my mixes today, but that's one as an example. The other piece is gain staging, and I could see here, unfortunately, that I didn't do a great execution of that, in particular on the vocal. I got it to sit well, but it took a lot to get there, and I think I probably could have done it a little bit better. But it's definitely a lesson I've learned over time, which is just to remove all that non-value add stuff that's not contributing to the mix. If anything, you can't hear it, and it's just taking away from the energy of the mix. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on how to beef up a vocal performance succinctly. Let me know your thoughts on this one. I'd appreciate hearing from you. I usually join the conversation within 48 hours of posting these videos, so I love to see what you got to say about this particular technique, or if you have other techniques. Oh, and before I forget, because I do not want to neglect this, is the fact that you can actually go and purchase a Waves plugin called Vocal Doubler. It used to work on my machine and it got knocked out after I updated it, but I probably just need to update the plugin to get it working again, and I haven't done it. But anyways, Vocal Doubler is the thing that will achieve exactly what I just showed you. So check that plugin out as well if you're interested in achieving the same or similar results. And the conversation doesn't have to stop here. Please join us on our Discord channel, where there's well over 300 plus members of aspiring DJs and producers and experienced DJs and producers, sharing a lot of knowledge and information to help you in your journey. Much love and respect to you. Peace.